13 minutes. I'm Paul Goon, and this week I'm back at Rubber Lizard Studios, hanging out with Black Spirit Crown. What's up, guys?
Hey,
What's
man.
happening?
Where's the band from?
We're Cleveland-based. We all live kind of around Cleveland. I'm in Cleveland Heights,
Parma.
I'm in Willoughby.
so all up half hour range of there.
What is a Black Spirit Crown?
Man, that's a grand question.
Yeah, I'll leave that one to you.
Yeah.
So when I started the band with our first drummer, we were just trying to find a cool stoner doom name, and we threw ideas at each other and
Put a bunch of words in a hat.
bunch of words in a hat,
picked them out in
basically.
order,
Yeah.
and that's what it was.
And that's what it was, yeah. So it doesn't have a huge, awesome meaning. It just sounded cool.
Is it better to be doomed or better to be stoned?
I mean, I'm doomed, and it sucks.
Yeah, I prefer being stoned, personally, but I mean,
A little bit of both.
a little bit of
A little bit
both.
of column A, a little bit of
Yeah.
column B.
I'm gonna stick to the doomed side.
Keeps it spicy, the doom.
Spicy doom. There you go. I think we're changing our genre.
Oh. We need more genres than doom.
Yeah.
More subgenres.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Are albums too long for people's attention spans these days?
Ooh.
Our songs are too long for people's attention
Yeah.
spans.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I like to sit down and listen to an album. I don't know that that's the listening habits of the general public.
Like an
anymore.
actual album?
Yeah,
on
I like to
vinyl?
sit down and listen to the whole thing, beginning to end, get the whole concept. I think that, when bands are putting together an album, they do it intentionally, and I like to get that whole experience as much as possible. But, I mean,
There's a lot of work that goes into front to backing, a collection of songs, and not just in the arrangement of them, but in the actual writing of them and having a cohesive thing, a grand work of art. And I think
Yeah.
that listening to things out of that context can sometimes take some of the meaning and the artist's intention away from it.
yeah. And that's not to say I don't like sitting down, sometimes you just want to hear a ripping song, you wake up and you wake up with it in your head and you're like, fuck, I gotta listen to that.
Or like
Yeah.
when you wake up and the first thing that you find out is that Black Spirit Crown just released remote viewing. That's sick.
That'll happen.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. That's pretty awesome.
That'll happen.
But that's an interesting point because we've been talking about it as a band, it seems like it's almost more effective to release singles, EPs, things like that in the way that people's listening habits have changed with Spotify and stuff like that. So I think that's something we've been discussing as a band, and I think we're gonna maybe not put out a whole album here coming up. We might do a couple of EPs, single releases, and things like that, just from that consumer side.
It's kind of come full circle from like what the 50s and 60s were when bands didn't release albums. Albums were collections of singles.
Yeah.
They would go into the studio and they would record, they've got a half an hour in the studio and they'd record however many songs they could do, and they would just, get it pressed that afternoon and send it to the radio station. There's our single. And then they needed something to sell, so they would just collect all of those and put it in a single release as as an LP. And then it got to be that LP was a standard format, and now we're back to let's release singles, and we could just collect them as an album afterwards and release them in one package.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot easier to sell people to listen to, too. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, I have 65 minutes of music versus, hey, I have 5.
Yeah.
Like, I can spare 5 minutes. I don't know if I can spare 65.
Yeah.
That's it. We're writing a 65-minute song.
Oh, God.
Hey, we
We're
got a
talking-
new song out.
Hey, here's our single.
What's the world record on that? Do you guys know? Would that be the new record holder?
So no, there is a song that's currently playing by an organ in Germany, I think it is.
Like a real
that-
song, not something
Yes.
stupid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
piece of
I mean,
music
it's
that
kind of
is.
something stupid.
Oh, okay.
But
What is it? Something like 1,200 years to play through.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's a note like every 40 years or something like that. People gather from all over the world to come see it.
Just see the note change.
Oh, that's stupid.
It
It's
just-
a real
it just
conceptual
happened.
thing.
It just happened. I want to
Um,
get the sheet music and play it at a standard tempo and see if it is actually anything.
Yeah.
I know that
But that's like the ultimate doom.
yeah, that's
Yeah, really, yeah.
It really is.
Just
It really
throw-
is.
just
We
throw an FG2
strive
on
to
it.
be that doom.
Yeah.
Throw an FC2 on an organ.
Yeah, right.
Just go to town.
One
But
note
outside of
every
that,
40
like-
years.
I know that. I think Dope Smoker. Obviously, it's an hour and 3 minute long song. Mirror Reaper. I think they have an hour and a half song. Those That's the longest one I can think of. I'm sure.
We
I don't
talked
know.
about doing something
Yeah.
about 30, 35 minutes.
It ended up only being 20 only.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the title track off of our last album, Gravity.
Shout out!
Shout out!
But I think when you start with the concept of the length of the song, it oddly enough boxes you in.
It is harder. It was harder. It's
I've
harder
heard that
to-
before. I've heard
Yeah.
that before on this show. I've heard a lot of things on this show before.
Yeah.
How many albums have you guys released or EPs? How many full projects have you put out?
So we got our first release was Red Sky. That was, I guess you'd call it an EP.
There's
songs.
technically 2 EPs that we put together.
Yeah, that was the recording process, and that was our first release. And then we released Gravity, which is our full length that we put out.
2020 or 2021?
I
2020.
think 2020,
June of 2020, I think
Yep.
it was.
and that was an interesting project because we didn't have a drummer.
We didn't.
So
And now you do.
now we
Now
do.
we do.
He learned all the parts because he's a pretty good drummer. But yeah, so then we just released remote viewing, and we're working on new music and
Yeah,
trying
I think
to
we got about 5 or 6 that are,
kind of in process.
various stages of.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Goron, by the way. Did you just get that shirt last night?
Yeah, we just played with him last night.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, they're
sick.
very slow wave,
Yeah.
yeah.
Shout out! Shout out! Double shout out!
We did a shirt trade. He's like, I only have 2 X's. I'm like, I'll take one. I'll take it.
It's so hard. I know it's so hard
Yeah.
to find good shirts. Do you have to be able to do math to play music?
No, actually, because I can't do math, and somehow I managed to play music.
I think it depends what kind of music you're doing.
Yeah,
If you're playing Doom, if you can count to 4, you're good. If you're doing like prog, you might want to have a little bit of ability to subdivide things.
As a drummer, I'd say yes for sure.
Don't do prog.
nobody can.
No.
Where do you guys record your music at?
My house,
Sick.
Yep.
my basement.
Chris is the recording engineer, producer. I don't know what all the titles.
Yeah, engineer, produce, mix, master,
Are. Yeah,
all
we're
the things.
fully
You do a good
DIY.
job, man. This is some of the
Thanks.
most professional sounding masters I've ever heard,
Thank
honestly.
you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, we got the first mix for remote viewing. I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
And then he's
I'm
like, I'm
telling
gonna
you guys.
change a bunch of stuff. Like, whatever, dude, go do your thing. I would trust you.
Sounded good by the time it got to me.
Right on.
Is there a band or musician that you guys don't want your bandmates to know that you listen to?
Huh?
No, for me.
I don't think so.
I'm
no.
pretty open with the fact that I'm a huge
nerd.
Britney Spears fan. No, I mean I grew up listening to like blues and shit, and that kind of is what shaped the way I play and the way I approach things. So I think it's stupid to keep that stuff secret or to try to gatekeep it or anything like
Yeah.
that. I mean, there's no gatekeeping with blues shit, but yeah, it's part of what makes you what you are as a musician. So
Absolutely.
why hide it?
I mean, like, I'm not going to listen to everything that he listens to just because it doesn't suit my taste, but I'm not going to be like, dude, you're listening to Britney Spears again, you're out of the band. You know?
On that note, though, I've rolled up to about half of our shows listening to Phoebe Bridgers, so
I don't know who
Well,
that
that's
is.
fine.
yeah.
I don't know who that is either, but shout out!
Yeah, shout out Phoebe.
I mean, whatever it is, everybody listens to music for their own reason. It's like any art, you consume art for your own reason because you like it, and if you draw inspiration from something like Phoebe or whatever, and you're like, dude, that's a
Phoebe
cool-
or whatever, we don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
who
I
it
mean,
is.
I'm not going to stop going to a restaurant because the chef there had McDonald's for lunch.
I might.
True. That's a good point.
You know?
What's your favorite Black Spirit Crown song?
Oh, God.
What's your favorite Black Spirit Crown song? What's your favorite Black Spirit Crown song?
Remote viewing's mine.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on that right now.
You waited too long. You're not allowed to answer.
It's
You waited too long too.
I did. I didn't want to.
How do you play guitar or bass and sing at the same time?
I barely
I don't know,
do.
man.
I
You just-
barely do.
You just do it.
I
I
sing,
fuck up the parts.
I
That's
sing
how I
and
do
drum
it.
in slow wake as well. I say ooh in one Black Spirit Crown song, but like
Ooh.
I just have to like zoom out, Like
Yeah.
I can't focus on one specific thing too much or I'll mess it up. So I just have to like zoom out a little bit and just kind of let things happen. And if something goes wrong, I'll focus on that until it's right again and then I'll zoom back out.
Yeah, it's a lot of practice on my own. You know, like I sit at home with a riff, and if I'm trying to sing over it, I just practice the riff until it's as automatic as possible, and then you can focus on learning, you know, the vocal part until that's as automatic as possible, and then they just kind of blend in your brain, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to not think about one of the things that you're doing,
Yeah, like standing. I usually try not to think about standing when I'm playing.
which is why it's usually on the floor.
It happens.
Would you rather blow up in the United States or overseas first?
I'd rather not explode.
That's what I thought you meant first. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Man, I don't know. It's like, you know, I think that the metal scene is, it seems like it's more over in Europe, but like, we're not going to get over there. And I'd like to play in front of people, you know, that appreciate us. So I wouldn't mind blowing up in America and then being able to drive all over the place and play kick-ass shows to a bunch of people who really like us, and then work our way out to Europe.
I can't
But-
carry on 2 810s.
True.
Yeah, we'd have to blow up really big in
Yeah.
America so we could get our own jet, and then one of us, you could learn how to fly it or something. I'm afraid of heights, so I don't think I'd be a good pilot.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We could take a boat.
I'll figure it
You
out.
take a boat.
Take a boat.
We could play one of those metal cruises. I get seasick.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's
fuck.
do that.
I get seasick too, though.
You get,
I'm really not a
get the
good
bracelet.
traveler.
Get the bracelet.
What are some of the differences between in-town shows and out-of-town shows?
People show up to out of town shows.
I mean, it sucks, but that's kind of the first thing I thought too.
It's been weird here post COVID.
Yeah.
I find, from my perspective, I find that people are more appreciative out of town, and that's not necessarily anything against people locally. It's that people locally see us a lot more,
Yeah.
and when we play out of town, it's a bigger deal. I don't want to say that we're a big deal, but it's
I
different
think you
because. Well, thank you.
Thanks,
I appreciate
bud.
that. My mom thinks I'm cool. But I think it's a bigger
Shout
deal.
out!
Shout out, mom. I think it's a bigger deal when somebody only gets to see you once every 6 months or once maybe ever, depending on
Yeah.
the town.
From a mental standpoint, it's very different because, like, you know, when you're doing an in-town show, you're like, you go to work, you know, you stop in, you got to make sure, like, you know, you stop in to see the family and the wife and stuff before you pack all your shit up and run to the show as fast as you can so you're not late. Whereas when you're on the road, it's all about being on the road and all about playing the shows, and like your entire day is kind of focused around that. Your mindset is in that the whole time. So I don't know. It's definitely a different feeling, you know. I can show up to shows like last night. We played in our other band, and I showed up, and I was just fucking exhausted, dude. And it took me like 2 hours sitting in the fucking bar to get myself into like the headspace to play, you know, versus like when we go out, and it's just like that's all you're thinking about all day.
At the same
Playing
time
the show.
too. At the same time too, like if you're on tour, like the whole day is leading up to like maybe like a half-hour set, something like
Yeah.
that. Like the whole day, you're thinking in the back of your head, like, I got something to do tonight. Like this whole day, like we're sitting in like a guitar center in like Kentucky or something like
Waffle
that.
House. Shut
Yeah,
up.
Waffle House. And like every like 10 minutes, I'm just like, oh, I got a thing to do tonight.
Yeah.
Like this is all because of like a 30-minute set tonight. I got to make sure I'm on top of everything.
It's over quick.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Yeah,
sure.
real fast.
I remember actually sitting in a Waffle House in Kentucky. I don't know, it wasn't a Waffle House, but some restaurant in Kentucky, and that was it. My whole day is going to, this is it, we're going to perform tonight, and then it's just over.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you're going back home from Kentucky, and then you have to go back to your shitty job. And then
Yeah.
it's very like not emasculating, but like it just sucks the life out of you because like you're a
Yeah.
celebrity for like
30 minutes.
That's
And the
it.
rest of the time you just know
Everything
you're doing it
before and
well, right?
after is like just hype and then decline.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. I put my sticks down at the end of the set, and I'm like, now what?
Yeah.
What
Like,
do I do
really
now?
the only
Smile,
thing
wave
that-
at
right?
people. I don't know.
Then you're like, oh great, now the only other thing left for the day is to load all this shit out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the work.
Right?
Yeah.
Is all publicity good?
I mean, that's the theory. I don't know if
There was a
true.
time where it was.
Yeah.
Now it's a little different,
You're canceled.
Damn it.
It's about time.
but that's fine. I mean,
Who makes the best effects pedals?
God, Jesus.
Yes. You know, I'm really high on Frost Giant Electronics, dirt pedals. I really like what he's doing. He's like a one-man guy doing the thing in Texas. I also am a big fan of Source Audio's One series. I use them a lot in the Slow Wake stuff. They just work great together for just crazy fucking sounds without getting too crazy. I don't know. What do you like?
I like Ren and Cuff stuff. I like Brown amplification. I got a cool thing. I just got a foul sounds pedal that I really dig.
I mean, you
I
gotta
like Boss pedals, man. Boss
Yeah.
makes some great pedals.
Shout out!
I mean, Earthquaker.
Sponsor us.
You
Earthquake.
can't
Oh,
forget
yeah.
the local
Shout
heroes.
out!
Earthquaker.
You know, there's always an Earthquaker device on one of my pedal boards.
Some of the TC stuff is really good too.
Yep, I have some of that. We're pedal junkies for sure. Sweetwater, man. God damn, do I owe them money.
Dang.
Sweetwater, if you're watching, I can tell you where to collect.
We got him.
All right.
Oh, they know.
All right. Meatballs 1 or Meatballs 2?
I'm a vegetarian, so
Did you guys ever see the second one where there's that little alien and they try to pretend that it's like a camper at the camp?
No.
That's
I don't know
crazy.
if I've ever
That's
seen it.
crazy.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, the first one is just like a normal like kid camping movie like from the 80s. It's what you
Yeah.
expect. And then the second one, I just watched it and I was so taken off guard. Like I had to put a question about it in this interview because I was like, "What the fuck is this movie?" Like I thought that I was dreaming when I watched it, but it was real.
Oh, that's right. I'm gonna have to check that out.
What happens when you die?
Nothing. And it
literally
sucks.
nothing.
Hopefully nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing is going to happen when you turn these lights out. It just gets dark.
Yep.
That's it.
You like playing the fast parts better or the slow parts of the songs?
Ooh. I mean, they both definitely have their. I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
I like
like-
the impact that one gives the other,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the kind of the I don't know the word I'm thinking of, but like the difference between the two and how each one makes the other more impactful and
Yeah.
just
Would
mean
that be
more.
like the duality? The
Yeah.
duality?
Yeah. The dynamic shift. I love just hitting a fucking big fat note and just soaking it up.
One every 40 years.
Which note?
Yeah.
though? Which note specifically?
Usually a really low one.
Really
like
low
a
one.
low C or something.
Let's see.
You know, but like then I also like the intensity of like trying to keep up with the fast part. Like I like that.
Oddly enough, I think the
That
faster
drive.
stuff is easier to play.
Yeah.
It is.
Like
It
the
is.
slow stuff is really hard to maintain tempo and groove. But
Patience.
there's so it's very patient. There's so much space, and like if that like you have one note per half a second or something like that, versus the faster part that has like 4 or 5 beats per second. That's
Mhm.
like there's a lot less room for error. The slow stuff there's a lot of room for error.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's also like, trying to stay in that slow concept. Like, we're letting this note ring out, and you're on stage, and you're all juiced up with adrenaline, and you're like, I need to fucking play something.
Yeah.
But it's not time yet. Like,
Well, it's
that
why you
gets
start
to
playing
your
an
thing.
instrument is to play the instrument, not to let the instrument resonate. So naturally, you want to move on to the next thing. It'd be like if you're having a conversation and you
Just-
drag your words out and say yeah, it's
I
you
would kick you
naturally
off
want to
the show.
like
I would continue on with the other two. You'd have to go if you talk like that. Are the Guardians going to the World Series this year?
I mean, could be.
I'd say yeah.
Yeah?
I'll say yeah. I don't know why, but yeah. Got a gut feeling.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yep, calling it.
I think they got a good chance.
Calling it. They're a young core. They
Yeah.
figure it out.
I haven't gotten a
I'm gonna
chance
leave it to you guys.
I haven't gotten a chance to even watch a game
I
yet.
saw
but-
the last 2 innings of the game last night while I was waiting for bands
Yeah.
to go on.
Yeah. I was watching it too.
So
I'm pretty sure they won last night.
yeah, they did.
4-3.
Yeah.
I can't have an opinion yet.
Okay.
Do you guys have any shows coming up where can people see you live?
Here in about 10 minutes.
If you're in about 10
If
minutes.
they can make it out. No.
I know we've got something coming up with I should have had the calendar already. We got something coming up with Beast Killer here soon at Cedars and
Shout
Youngstown.
out!
Shout out! We're playing in Dayton. I think that's May 26th
Yep.
with
Dayton's May 26th.
Maharaja and Stonecutters and Gainsayer. That's gonna be a fucking show.
Yeah.
Shout out!
And then
These
um,
Killer.
shows in-
we've got a
it's in
couple
June,
of
right?
fests coming up. We're playing
Yep.
Holler of Doom in Tennessee in July, mid-July, and then the Ohio Doom and Stonefest late July. Shout out.
Do you run that?
I do.
Yeah, well, you beat me to the shout out. Shout out!
And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's it right now.
I'm Paul Goon. They are Black Spirit Crown. That was 13 minutes.